Some characters take hours to win audiences, but for Willy Wonka, it took only 60 seconds. Gene Wilder's unforgettable performance turned a simple introduction into a defining moment in cinematic history. But what made it so powerful? Why does his Wonka remain the most iconic? Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a 1971 musical fantasy film directed by Mel Stewart. It is based on Roald Dahl's 1964 novel, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. At that time, the film didn't become a box office hit, but thanks to its memorable musical numbers and Gene Wilder's legendary portrayal of Willy Wonka, the film has since become a beloved classic. The movie revolves around Willy Wonka, his chocolate factory, and a young boy, Charlie Bucket. Charlie lives in poverty with his mother and bedridden grandparents when the famous candy man, Willy Wonka, announced 5 golden tickets hidden in his Wonka bars, granting winners a tour of his magical chocolate factory. The idea of visiting the most anticipated place makes the world go into a frenzy. One by one, the tickets are found by 4 spoiled children. While the world goes on opening 1,000 Wonka bars every single day, Charlie only gets to buy 2 of them and couldn't get the ticket. However, then he miraculously finds the ticket and embarks on his once-in-a-lifetime adventure. As the 5 children enter Wonka's kingdom, they realize it is not just a visit, but a test to determine who is truly worthy of inheriting the chocolate factory. In the end, despite all the challenges, Charlie proves himself to be worthy of Wonka's legacy and is rewarded with the factory. The film might appear to be Charlie's story, but the most significant part of it is the great mysterious owner, Willy Wonka. The part is played by Gene Wilder, and it soon became one of the most fascinating and unpredictable characters in cinema history. Unlike a traditional hero or villain, he exists in grey areas, both whimsical and unsettling, playful yet mysterious. But the complexity isn't apparent right away. For most of the first act of the movie, Wonka remains an unseen figure, spoken about in reverent, almost mythical terms. Before he appears, the film conditions the audience to expect a kind and joyful candy maker. The golden ticket contest builds excitement, and the characters constantly reference him with a sense of wonder. However, the film also plants subtle doubts. Rumors about the factory, the secrecy surrounding his workers, and Slugworth's ominous presence create a sense of mystery. His introduction scene begins as a slow build-up. The factory gates open, the crowd cheers, and Wonka appears. But something is off. He walks with a limp while leaning heavily on a cane, appearing weak, clearly not the Wonka that the audience had expected. This immediately misleads both the character and the audience, making them believe that they have been praising a facade all this time. Then, in a brilliant reversal, he suddenly drops the cane, somersaults forward, and lands with a grin. At that moment, all assumptions about his character are shattered. This technique, setting up an expectation and then breaking it, clearly works in his favor, because from the beginning, he is able to leave a lasting impression on the audience. Moreover, this scene established a lot of things about the great Willy Wonka. One, that he could not be trusted, and second, that apart from a candy maker, he's an excellent acrobat, because that somersault was epic. Surprisingly, rather than the director, Gene Wilder was the one who insisted on this iconic entrance. He knew it would set the tone for the entire film. His reasoning behind it was pretty simple. From that moment onward, no one would be able to tell if Wonka was lying or telling the truth. It was the perfect setup for his character. He used his body language to manipulate expectations, flipping instantly from feebleness to playfulness. His gaze and measured speech further added to the flawless execution of the scene. It conveniently conveyed the idea that his Wonka was not just a charming factory owner, but someone who kept everyone guessing. Even beyond the introduction, Wilder's Wonka remains unpredictable throughout the film. He constantly jumps between a playful person and then an absolute menace. And that keeps the audience hooked to his moves.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
His delivery of lines like, "We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams," adds a philosophical and almost unsettling depth to his character. This quote is not original to The Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's taken from the poem Ode by Arthur O'Shaughnessy. The poem speaks of artists, creators, and visionaries, those who shape the world through imagination and innovation. By using this line, Wonka positions himself as more than just a chocolatier. He is a dreamer and an inventor. Unlike most of his dialogues, he delivers this in a calm, reverent tone, making it stand out. At that very moment, he's not joking or making any sarcastic remarks. He's just simply stating the truth about himself and his world. The sudden shift of tone makes the moment feel profound and adds depth to his character. It hints at Wonka's view of the world, that he is someone who embraces imagination over reality and dreams over logic. It also suggests Wonka would want someone who believes in wonders and creativity to inherit his chocolatey legacy. Wilder's ability to blend comedy, sincerity, and slight intimidation sets his Wonka apart from any comic character. His deadpan reactions to children's misfortunes show a man who may or may not be concerned with their well-being, but is definitely testing them.
Stop, don't come back.
He is one of the few actors who truly get immersed in their roles and deliver their best in each scene. His portrayal of Willy Wonka was not just an acting choice, it was a creative decision that defined the film. Behind the scenes, reports reveal that Wilder had significant input in shaping Wonka's persona. From the tone to the execution of the scene, it was fully his choice. Moreover, he also took charge of the costume design. In Wilder's words, he wanted his clothes to be like a vain man who knows colors that suit him, yet with all the oddity has strangely good taste, something mysterious, yet undefined. This was the most appropriate explanation of the character that anyone had come up with. But the writer of the novel was not happy with it. There were tensions regarding the interpretation of the character. Roald Dahl, the author of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, initially wanted Spike Milligan or Peter Sellers for the role. He believed that Wilder was too soft-spoken and not mischievous enough for the role. Hence, he was unimpressed with the final result, particularly the portrayal of Willy Wonka. Apparently, Gene's understanding of the character did not align with the original Wonka. The book's Wonka was odd, but largely kind. Wilder's version introduced a more mischievous and unsettling element, making the character more ambiguous. However, despite the production drama, Willy Wonka's character was a hit in popular culture. Most importantly, it endured. Unlike later versions, such as Johnny Depp's portrayal in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Timothée Chalamet's in Wonka, Wilder's Wonka strikes a perfect balance between mystery, charm, and unpredictability. His performance didn't just define the character, but it became the character. And that is the reason why, people still refer to Gene Wilder as the original Willy Wonka. His introduction is a masterclass in storytelling and character development. Within 60 seconds, the audience understands that Wonka is someone who plays by his own rules and enjoys keeping others off balance. That he is a man of mystery and deception. This unpredictability is what makes him so fascinating. In most films, protagonists follow a clear arc, but in this one, it is different. He is never fully explained, never completely understood, and never predictable. From the very beginning, the audience that everything he does is a deliverable act. But to what end? Is he testing those around him? Is he playing a long game? Does he have a hidden motive? Questions like these draw the audience in, making them hang on to his every word and action for the rest of the film. Gene Wilder has outdone himself as Willy Wonka, and that is why, decades later, his performance still remains unmatched. His performance elevates the film from a simple children's story to something far more profound, an experience that stays in the minds of viewers, either young or old, long after the credits roll. So what do you think? Was Roald Dahl's disapproval of Wilder's portrayal justified, or is Wilder your all-time favorite Wonka? Let us know in the comments below. Hope you liked the video. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like and share. See you in the next one.